relationships to Reddit threads. From what the hell do you said what? It's unfiltered, uncut, yeah, that's the show. Yeah, welcome to Let's Be Real, though.
Welcome back to Let's Be Real, though, a podcast and a YouTube channel. I am Brandon J. Benfield. Well, hey guys, I am so excited to bring this episode to you today. This is one that I've been wanting to do for a while. Will Shewfelt, Rorrie Travis, and I, we are all huge Michael Jackson fans. Now, Will Shewfelt played the Red Ninja Steel Ranger on Power Rangers. Rorrie D. Travis played the Beast Morphers Red Ranger. Obviously, we're not talking about Power Rangers here today, guys. If that's what you're looking for, I'd say check them out on like Morphin Network or something. Those guys are great. But today, we are sharing with you our love for Michael Jackson. Now, Michael Jackson has always been this staple for all of us individually, and we've been able to share that together in our friendships. I took both of them each individually to Michael's house, and we got to experience that there together, each of us individually, between myself and the two guys. Check this out, guys. We are really, I'm just so excited that you guys get to see this. Each guy kind of talks about how Michael's influenced him and them and myself. So it's just a great conversation. I'm glad for you guys to hear it. Before we get into that, though, I wanted to talk about some life updates. As some of you know, my previous episode here, and I haven't been able to get on here a lot, mostly because I've been busy with life things, and also my wife and I have been doing the Couple That Slays together. We've been kind of busy with that. But the biggest thing for me has been, I've been trying to navigate, everything. The last episode I told you guys I lost my job and I've been unemployed. What came next was pretty crazy. So when I was going through my unemployment process, and again, I lost my job at this place I was working at over 3 years. I love the place, still do. I have no ill will toward them, nor do I have any ill will toward the place that I was working 10 years ago that I'm getting ready to tell you about. When that job ended, I was laid off due to everything going overseas. They sent all of their efforts over to India or somewhere in the Middle East, and so my entire the office got shut down. Nobody is there anymore. It ended. But I found out through the unemployment process through this job that I just lost that because of that position that moved to India. Between the years of 2010 and 2022, the state of Indiana, they came up with this thing called the Trade Assistance Alliance, or the Trade Alliance Assistance, to where it's something like that, the TAA program, and where basically if your job is eliminated due to being the efforts being sent overseas, that the state of Indiana will pay for you to complete your bachelor's degree within 130 weeks. 130 weeks. You guys, the fact that once they told me I was eligible, you have no idea the hope that was restored into me, because I'll be honest with you, it was in a kind of a dark place, didn't know where to go next, and I just a lot of graphic design positions are being taken over by Canva and by AI, which I'm not dogging on AI. I use AI. I use it as a tool. But that's for graphic designers. That's what it is. They're not replacing us as a designer. It's not supposed to anyway. But for us using AI, it's not replacing our skills as graphic designers. We just basically use it to, like things like generative expand and generative fill. It's more like going from a screwdriver to a drill instead of like saying replacing us as designers. But anyway, so I had been up against that, trying to find a position that would fit, but every door kept getting closed. So the college thing is really, I think, where I'm meant to be, because now this got a little bit challenging as well, because Ball State, I applied there first, got right in. It's where my wife went. It's where David Letterman went. It's very well known. They got me right in. You're approved. I mean, they got me a student ID. They were fast. I mean, I was supposed to be at an orientation on the 4th. However, when we started diving into the degree program that I want to get in, it was looking more and more like it wasn't going to happen, simply because the way that my credits transferred to anything other than graphic design, it was like 22, 24 credits. And then for the graphic design degree, it was like 44 to 46 credits transferred, which isn't bad, but something didn't sit right with me between that and not being able to find a job because of, things like AI and Canva or whatever. And my job was already eliminated due to the tariff policies, and we won't get into that. But So the biggest thing for me was trying to find something that I could fit in that 130-week period, because a lot of those programs are still 4-year degrees, and if my credits weren't transferring, I wasn't going to be able to do it. So I pivoted to Purdue. They took forever to communicate with me. I did not have a good experience with them, and they told me that I basically didn't get in because I didn't take a foreign language credit in high school. You were supposed to take Spanish or French or whatever. I took advanced acting because that's what our high school allowed us to do. Here I am, almost 40 years old, kind of regretting that decision now, but is what it is. So when I was about to throw in the towel through this and just tell my TAA advisor, like, look, I'm coming a goose egg here. I don't want any of this. She said, look, just try IU. Trust me, try IU. She went to IU. She did IU online. She said, look, IU Kokomo on site, which I live in Kokomo. IU Kokomo they have a new media and art degree, and then IU online has a digital media and storytelling degree. Well, okay, so I decided to explore that. Well, I went to IU Kokomo on site. That the new media and art one is the on site one. None of my graphic design credits transferred. I would say maybe 12 did a total from everything. It wasn't great. So I was like, here we go again. But I met with the online advisor. She took a look at my transcripts. You guys, 77 of my credits transferred. All my philosophy credits from KCC, the Kellogg Community College I went to, all my graphic design credits, all of my religion credits from Spring Arbor that I didn't think I was going to do anything with because I wanted to be a philosophy professor at the time. That was a whole nother story. It's a whole nother can of worms. But yeah, so I really just was like baffled by this. So starting May 18th, I don't know when you're listening to this, but May 18th of 2026, I will be going for a bachelor's degree in a Bachelor of Science in Digital Media and Storytelling, and I will graduate. Now, they gave me 130 weeks to graduate. With all my credits, I will graduate. If everything goes well, I will graduate December of 2027. That's a little over, that's like 18 months. I can't even believe it. In looking at the course load, I know I can do it. So that's the crazy life update that I have for you guys. But without further ado, I want to get into this interview, this roundtable discussion about Michael Jackson, if you will, with Will Shewfelt and Rorrie Travis. You guys, let's be real though with Brandon J. Benfield. Check it out. I wanted to ask you guys. I wanted to bring you guys together because, like, the three of us have all shared a real love for Michael Jackson. Huge fans. I grew up loving him. You guys grew up loving him. We could talk about Power Rangers all the day, live long day, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about the King of Pop. So I'm curious for each one of you, what was the first Michael song you ever heard that you can remember, and what was the song that made you fall in love with his music?
It's a good question. You first. I'm gonna say the one that made an impact on me was "I'll Be There." Um, I mean, Michael Jackson's like omnipresent in all of our lives, right? You don't remember a time without him, at least definitely for myself and a Rorrie. Brandon, you're there at an earlier time in life. I'm joking. You're not that old. I'm just kidding. But
But I was
no,
though, and that's the thing. I was live during a lot of that.
oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that makes it. Well, I mean, like the Jacksons era, maybe, or what? Thriller
Oh,
era.
point. Well, yeah, it was more like history era, but sure, still.
Yeah, sorry, I'm putting way too many years on you. I'm kidding. Anyways, but for me, I would say
Michael Jackson, it's encyclopedias, and we know every era
no,
of
I
Michael
I was
Jackson.
amazed when we started talking about this, because we all went on a pilgrimage to Michael Jackson's home
Yes.
yeah, it was Indiana, right? We were in Indiana.
Yeah,
It
Gary.
was.
Isn't that great? Gary, Indiana, yeah. No, but that was incredible. And realizing that you guys were just as committed. I've always said, greatest entertainer of all time. I mean, there's many. The Beatles are incredible. Elvis is incredible. But to me, the one that stands like head and shoulders above everyone is Michael Jackson. Just as far as having it in every area, the creativity, the musicality, the voice, the dancing, everything, the cultural impact, the style. There's so much to him. So yeah, but I would say for me, I'll Be There is the one that connected the most emotionally. It had a lot of resonance for me. Um, yeah, Thriller, I've always tried to stay away from Thriller because it's just
Oh,
omnipresent.
really?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's just it's almost like too obvious. It's like saying like Drake is your favorite rapper. Like, okay, you went for
Yeah.
the low hanging fruit there, So yeah, to me, I've always listened to most of his other stuff outside of that. Whether when he was older, when he was younger. But yeah, I'll Be There. That's my choice.
And Rory, how about you?
For myself, I think when I was a kid, the song that resonated with me most, I came up with the Michael Jackson Ultimate Collection was coming out. So it's like 2007, and what am I in 7th grade? And my mom, who was actually a Michael Jackson fan as well, she bought that around Christmas. I think it came out around Christmas time. And, I'm trying to think of, was there a song that just stood out so much to me? And I want to say The Way You Make Me Feel
Mm.
landed for me. Like that was it. But I watched the entire, it started from uh, um, um, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough
Yeah.
all the way into, You Rock My World. And I would just play this back over and over and over again, dude. And I'm like, I through every era, I'm like, oh, this guy, oh, this is a different guy, but this is the same guy. He I was immersed in every form, every era of Michael Jackson. So either The Way You Make Me Feel, Man in the Mirror, and I think what resonated with me during this time as well, me and my mom used to sing Ben together.
Mhm.
Doom, doom, da, da, dum, da, 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 da. And I remember kind of going over the song over and over and over again to kind of impress my mom in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where it started with me.
It's cool. For me, I got spoiled. Um, I, uh, I was hitting that age when history was coming out brand new. And so I got to experience like the past from Michael Jackson. It's like, here's all of the past. Now here's where I'm taking you from here.
Because it was a two book.
Yes. And I remember, this was back in the age when cassettes were out and then like CDs were just coming out, right? So we got to see it in cassette, where it was really cool to see the flip book, but then the CD came out and it was like, oh snap, like this is like a nice book, like they put a big thick book in with it. So I would say the old song that resonated with me the most, was probably either Billie Jean or Beat It, but, again, I was experiencing Angry Michael, like, in its prime, and so I got to hear, like, They Don't Care About Us and Morphine and those things. So I would say They Don't Care About Us what really impacted me when I first, heard of Michael and everything. I would say that, like, even getting to experience Michael again in real time, it was like, I remember because I was a massive NSYNC fan when I was a kid, right? And then they came out, they were getting to the end of their tenure in music, like full time. And I remember their MTV VMA performances. And I remember when they were doing the song Pop, do you ever wonder why that one? And I remember at the end of it, like when they were ending Pop and it was like this could be pop, 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 pop. Like, and it was like the when Michael appeared, it was like pop, pop, king of pop, like when he breaks through the thing, and I was like, oh man, like that was the performance. So when you guys would see Mike perform, like what was like that performance that stood out for you?
Honestly, I'm a big fan of the 1995 MTV
Yeah, incredible,
performance.
incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible.
Yeah.
yeah,
Will
This
you
is
be there?
after he just like went to the hospital for having like maybe a mild heart attack or something like that.
yeah.
And now we're still performing. The show must always go on. And still
Wait, are you talking about the one where no, 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 no. I'm thinking about the one with the where he's in a wheelchair. You're talking about the one with Will You Be There, right? And then he goes into You Are Not Alone.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
It started with like the newer um um he started with like the melody to like off the wall tracks, and then he did like a little Billie Jean set, but it was the main thing for me was Dangerous. He like
Yeah.
destroyed Dangerous.
Oh, the medley. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then ended it with You Are Alone. That was yep.
Lisa Marie Presley in the audience. Fantastic.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think
What was the Will, like, what did you think? Like when you first saw him perform, or what was the big one?
oh, I mean, he's blown my mind so many times, but I would say these performances that he would do in Eastern Europe, where he would do like "Will You Be There," or he would do Earth Song, and he'd have a soldier come out on the stage with a rifle pointed at him. And these are in countries, Kosovo, etc., that are going through the Cold War. They're going through, so many crises in their own nation, and he would slowly point the gun down. It's just like
Yeah.
you could feel the collective weight coming off of the audience, everyone that's actually living that in real time. So seeing stuff like that, it's so transcendent. It's so much bigger to me than a pop artist presenting a nice polished package for people to see, and it's really about their own sort of glorification. It's To me, what he was doing was really pointing the mirror back at the audience so they could see themselves in a different light and they could find strength in those moments. So yeah, I think that to me was so beautiful. And then another performance that I love, for completely different reasons, is when James Brown was on stage and he calls him up there. Michael Jackson just
Yeah.
tears it down, sings a few lines, and then he knows that Prince is like high in the audience. He was either high or drunk in the audience. So he tells James Brown, he's like, bring Prince up. This is one of the things that I love about the rivalry. He's like, bring Prince up here. And Prince makes a fool of himself. And he pulls the lampstand down. His Hulk Hogan looking bodyguard has him on his shoulder. The whole thing to me was hilarious. So I loved everything about that. It was just petty Michael
Everything about it.
Jackson at his best.
Absolutely. But he's so professional about it, you know what I mean? It was really hard to see. I mean, it almost felt like a friendly rivalry, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't necessarily. It's all good stuff. They're good guys at their core, but that professional rivalry, I love. I love it.
Yeah.
Whereas,
Yeah. I'm curious for both of you. What do you feel? I'll start with you, Will, on this one. What is a deep cuts Michael Jackson track you think it deserves way more love than it actually gets? And in the same vein, is there an MJ song that you don't really like, where you feel like it's overrated, or it just didn't jive with you?
I'm sure there is. But I would say one that's slightly deeper. It's not so much a deep cut, but "Break of Dawn." I think that's
Yeah.
a fantastic song. Um, and that was kind of when he was to me that fantastic, fantastic song. Um, I loved History as well. Yeah, I kind of want to change my original answer of when I said I'll be there to Will You Be There, because I think that that's that era of Michael Jackson, the long hair, wearing that white thing. And he was so I remember he performed at the Brit Awards and they took offense because they felt that he was portraying himself as a Christ-like figure. Which be that as it may, a lot of people can maybe see that in a certain light. But to me, I thought what he was portraying was just beautiful. It was about, showcasing so many different cultures coming together, the unity of that. Everything about it was so pure. So, uh, Will You Be There is one that I think is underrated. Because it gets drowned out in the light of Thriller and Beat It and Billie Jean and just everything that he did in the 80s. But I think his 90s work is incredible. And his voice, okay, I'm gonna throw one more in there. DS. So this song that he wrote about the district attorney, right? And everything that was going on with the trial and just really he was I don't want to get into all of that because I know people have strong opinions on both sides, but I know that as far as how that trial went down, he was being taken advantage of in a lot of different respects. And maybe not being treated the same way that your average civilian would be, let's say, for a lot of reasons, whether it be a celebrity or his race, whatever it happens to be. But I thought that song showcased his aggression a little bit more, him standing up for himself a little bit more, and I liked his voice in that. Just I liked just the distortion in his voice in that. So yeah, those are my
Yeah.
picks.
Is there a song that you don't particularly care for that maybe a lot of others do, or just one that just doesn't really like work for you?
I think was that song called "1,000 Watts" or something like that.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So to me, some of that, I did really like the New Jack era, but some of that where he's really getting into like the growly stuff, I'm just like, you're Michael Jackson, like you got the best voice out there, like let somebody else do that,
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't care too much for that track. There's a few, um, but yeah, those are my picks.
That's fair. How about you, Roy? The one that you particularly think that gets slept on, it doesn't get enough love, and then one that you don't particularly care for.
One that does not get enough love. I mean, I agree with Will. There's so many tracks that don't get any limelight at all. As far as like the, true diehard fandom would know, I think I think the song that he did with oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. The Bee Gees.
Yes, yes, yes. I've been.
Gosh.
What is it?
Yeah. All I
Call out your name or something.
does. All in your name. All in your name.
All in your name. Yeah, yeah, all in your name.
Beautiful song that he did with the lead singer of the Bee Gees, Barry.
Very good, Zeus.
Very good. I think that is a very much underrated song that I love. It's very, spiritual, very heavenly. It just brings it down home to where like the similar to like maybe his off the wall era was like this the soulfulness that he had without any extra as far as the music or trying to get anything. He was very bare bones. You're just hearing these two guys singing their heart out. Um, that um, and as far as like people that everybody else would kind of know, you don't have to be like a die hard fan. I think Somewhere in the Dark gets slept on. I'm with Will as far as the album, but I'm a Whatever Happens with Carlos Santana, dude.
Oh yeah.
Like that.
Ringing it.
I wish he did. I wish. Da, 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 street, dee, 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 sounds like a nine. Um,
How many
I wish he did more Latin influences in his music a little bit, because I felt like that was his bag in a way. Like you can bring all the Afro Latin stuff, especially I feel like in that history. Oh, excuse me, Invincible era that would have like thrived. Um, so yes, as far as songs that I'm not a fan of, maybe I'm an earlier Michael, maybe like Girlfriend. I wanna be your boyfriend. Kind of like, damn,
Turn this crap off.
campy. You're in Disney World here. You know what I mean?
Rory just made two things pop into my head there with what he was saying. So do you guys remember the song he did with Akon that came out right when he passed away?
Hold my hand. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. If we had heard more of that, with if Michael had, God willing, if he had gone into this new era, would have been incredible. That one, and then I heard his Come Together before I heard John Lennon did it. I just didn't listen to the Beatles that much. And I loved his Come Together. And then I remember later on getting really into the Beatles and I listened to John Lennon and I'm just like, this is crap. I just with all all due respect to the Beatles fans, because I love the Beatles and I love John Lennon, but just vocally to me, I was like, Michael Jackson tore this song up, man. Like it doesn't compare. So
I feel like everybody was doing Come Together around that time. Like he did it, Aerosmith did it. There were a lot of people that did it. And I'm with you. I think that Mike did Come Together the best out of everybody. He really did. To be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of Childhood. Childhood is I like the message that it brings. I almost felt like that one needed to be like the music for it needed to be written a little bit different because it's a very odd song to me. Like it's sad, and I understand it's supposed to be, but I and I like his ballad. I like one like, I Just Can't Stop Loving You, and I like You're Not Alone. I like he's good at ballads. Just for me, that one doesn't really play very well. Another one is She's Out of My Life. I'm not a big fan of that song. It's like it pops up on the every station on YouTube, and I'm just like,
That's an eye opener, Will. I think me and Will would really.
yeah, yeah, I think that's actually incorrect. No, I'm kidding. No, yeah,
"Hey, I'm not
again,
the kind of tape to me. I'm no fan."
yeah. How dare you?
No, yes, so I agree with Childhood. Childhood doesn't really fit. It fit for the era and the time, and but it didn't really fit as far as like the like general discography. It could have been written a different way. It could have landed much more. but he was being honest, just overly honest.
Do you guys remember that song? I think it was like Little Lucy or Little Susie or something like that.
Little Susie.
Do you guys
I like
like
Little Susie.
his vocals on that were beautiful, man, just like haunting. Whenever he would go into that lane, where like I feel like as highly rated as his voice is, it's underrated.
Yeah.
He could do anything, right? Like range wise, just beautiful, crystal clear tenor voice. Then he could go into that like a harder rock sound. He could bring out grit and distortion and things like that. That not a lot of R&B singers can do that. But he kind of could do whatever he wanted, and he was so percussive. I feel like he could rap if he wanted to rap. But yeah, no, like in Earth Song, I think that was one of the best showcases of his voice. Just unbelievable, unbelievable. If you ever listen to the isolated vocals, there's this guy on YouTube that he's gotten really heavy into that Chris Lipe, and he's gotten really heavy into going through Michael Jackson tracks, track by track. And the isolated vocals are just unbelievable. And the fact that Michael's comping from 65, 75 takes, some people might think like that's excessive, but it's like this guy recorded his vocals 75 times. Like, good lord. So yeah, he's
Right there.
incredible, incredible. Master vocalist, perfectionist too.
And not only that, the fact that he's able to make a chorus simply out of ahs. He did it, with "Wanna Be Starting Something" with the "I'ma say mama sa mama," just like not saying anything, and then literally Earth Song's chorus is just like it, and you got a chorus, and it's like that's just how amazing he was. He didn't even use a lyric.
Building chords with his voice. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I would say that my two that I feel like are sleepers are definitely the History track. Like that song is such a banger. I love that song so much. But then also one that I feel like it was a sleeper when I was growing up that I've come to love more as an adult is Butterflies. It's just got such a good rhythm. You don't hear a lot of people talk about it, but it's good. I like it.
Agrees.
Great song. Great song. Great song.
I feel like more
Are
people
you guys
nowadays have appreciated Butterflies.
are you guys a fan of Blood on the Dance Floor?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that one is also slept on. Like that should have been a massive hit. Everything about that. It's just and that's to me that seems like a stadium song. Like I can just imagine seeing him perform that live. And I've seen him perform that live, but I don't feel like that got the shine that it should have got.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like, and even in his live performance of "Blow on the Dance Floor," I wish he would have did something similar to, like a whole choreography routine, like "Remember the Time" or "Dangerous." Like "Blow on the Dance Floor," he just freestyled the entire time, which was appreciated. But that song, I don't know.
Yeah. So Rory, I'm sure as a dancer, you've seen that when Michael Jackson freestyles, he's got, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you feel like he's got about 10 to 15 moves that
That he will do.
shuffle?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like
Yes.
he knows he'll the little tap with his foot that keeps the beat like a metronome. Yeah, the shoulders,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
everything. But he'll throw his hand out, but he's got like these 10, 15 moves. And I don't care because I love anything that he does, like dancing wise. And I know if he wanted to go crazy with it, he could. But and it's perfectly just like rhythmically beautiful to watch. But I always feel like I think I've seen this before. Wait a minute, Michael.
I think I've seen this before.
See,
Yes,
moves,
like
Michael.
definitely through history. History was when he was getting like more stagnated in that wrong word. Like he was more stagnated in his "this is how I dance, this is how I move," where I feel like Victory, for sure, Bad, he was still creating what would be his style of dance. I think Dangerous was like, okay, that is it. And then by History, it kind of just like, he's kind of tired in a way. He's over us.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. You guys have seen that interview where he goes, you've seen that interview where he goes like, "I hate to tour." They're like, "Michael, you can't say that. We need a positive spin." And he's like, "Okay, let's do it again." He's like, "I love to tour."
Yeah, dude. Like I totally get it. Like even just doing like our things, it can be a lot, and no, we're not like it's only just us. We're not the only like names and all that stuff. It can be a lot. So I can only imagine being Michael Jackson, the biggest icon celebrity to ever exist in my eyes.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
You guys on a good subject that actually leads me into what I wanted to bring up next is, Michael has influenced both of you in your careers as actors and as musician. Will, you're more of a singer, Rory dancing, but you both sing, you both, are in that world. How has Michael influenced you in both your careers, both musically, as an actor, however you want to take that?
Hmm.
Dude, everything that I do has some part of Michael Jackson in it. If it's not me
Well,
being an entertainer, it's me being like I'm a performance arts director for a talent agency back at home, but that is the kind of my humanitarian side, just bringing back everything that I've learned throughout my stint of being an actor or entertainer. I'm literally regurgitating that back into my students. I'm not teaching you anything that I don't know or anything that I haven't been taught myself, and I literally pull from what I feel is a Michael Jackson quote, which I'm sure he got it from somewhere, but take from the greats and make it better. So I take from all of my teachers, including him, including you, Brandon, and somehow I put that in a way to where it helps somebody. It's motivating somebody. I'm bringing somebody to the next level, and I tell in turn to my students, remember to do that same thing. Remember to do that same thing. Don't get too big in yourself. Don't think you're this person to where you can't come back to your roots and share knowledge. That's as far as like my teaching side. I feel like every dance that I do is a little bit of Michael into it. Uh, I'm often told just how I sing in general, which I really am trying to help, has some Jackson-esque. I can't even say Michael. It has some Jackson-esque qualities into it. So help you, man. If you're first, that's just or. Yeah, right, right. Don't stop the forwards, bro.
What you
wow, man. That's such a great question because it goes beyond Michael Jackson. It's how does he impact our lives? For me, I will say that he was for a good 4, 5 years. I've kind of evolved musically where now I finally listen to some different things. But if you ask my Power Ranger castmates, so basically from when I was like 20 to about 24, the only thing I was listening to, Michael Jackson, Prince, James Brown, a lot of funk music like Parliament. But it was just that on repeat all the time, nonstop. So he influenced my ear a lot. But I would say beyond that, who he was as a person, I think, and it's tough to say this in this day and age, but I just think personally one of the greatest humanitarians and one of the greatest people in general I've ever seen. Um, an incredible, incredible guy. And one of his big inspirations was Michelangelo. And he spoke a lot about Michelangelo. He studied a lot of self improvement literature. And when you look through, he was heavy into great thinkers, but especially from Michelangelo. I'm gonna utterly butcher this quote, but I hope people get the gist of what it meant. Was that the body dies, soul is forever. So to attempt to live forever, I try to bind my soul to my work, so that I can live on through my work. Now that's
There
definitely
you
not the
go.
quote, but that's generally what the quote meant. And I've always loved that. L- s- Whether it's at the end of a day or at the end of my life, I would be very happy if I'm empty, completely empty, nothing left to give, just spent. Um, and everything that I've done can be poured into my work, my family, the people that I love, the people that are around me. And I think that's one thing Michael Jackson did. And I'm sure at the end of his life, I mean, he died while working, right? Well, in the middle of that process. So he was spent. He was burned out to the max. He was taking those pills just so he could sleep because when he was in that zone, he couldn't sleep because he was just receiving all of these ideas. So, um, I mean, I think he died spent on empty and he gave everything he could. And most of the people that I really admire are similar in that respect, where they give everything they can and there's nothing left. And I think it's beautiful, a romantic ideal, and it's something that I take from him a lot, um, as far as like how I try to live my life. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, along the same vein, obviously I'm not an actor, but I in the last 5 years or so, have gotten really into producing and editors and all these things. And it's like it's almost a backward effect because it's like I've seen myself in him where, especially in this biopic, which we'll also talk about, but like how much of a perfectionist he was. He wanted each little individual thing. And I'm a lot like that. Like you can ask my wife, I'm annoying sometimes when it comes to producing because it's like if it's I don't believe in good enough. I can't have
Oh, you
I
can
picked
ask us too.
5 minutes for our thing because I wanted it to be there. Like that's just how I am. So I mean, I can tell like, like he put all of his craft into everything that he made. It's like I remember one time, I remember listening to this it's the TI song, Whatever You Like. And I could always hear things in the background. You could hear in that song, you could hear like when like when Nextel phones were popular and they go "Bup, bup, 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 bup," and you can hear it in the background. I'm like, ooh, I don't think that's something that Michael would have stood for. Like, you know what I mean? So I can
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
things like that. And it's like all the things where you hear a mistake or you see a mistake, it's like, ooh, what could they have done to render that? And it makes me like, think about things like Michael Jackson. He would not have accepted that, I don't think, in his perfection of doing everything.
We Are the World.
Absolutely. Well, sometimes yes. I feel like Michael sometimes would have taken the little nuances of sounds that was just there in the background and made that to say, oh, that's what that take would have been different. That's what makes that because you hiccuped during that take or did a let's use that. Let's use that take. And let's keep using the let me do it now. So I do feel like there was a tailored approach to the craft, but I also feel like maybe there was a freedom that was allowed to happen as well. That's like improv.
Yeah.
And I have to stop Brandon. Brandon does act, ladies and gentlemen. Brandon has been in things. You're not just a producer, so I can't let you get away with that.
It's a good point.
I
Um,
love watching in We Are the World when Michael is just getting pissed at the people that are screwing the takes up. It just cracks me up. You could see like the Joe Jackson come out in his eyes where he's like, you better stop messing this line up.
Yeah,
gotta get the belt.
dude's just like going back and forth, and I think when it gets to Huey, I can't remember.
Yeah, Huey Lewis in the news. Yeah. That's it.
When it gets to
Bruce
Huey,
Springsteen sounding like he just chewed a bunch of cigarettes for breakfast.
but it sounded great still.
It did sound fantastic. It did sound fantastic.
me, it
Even
sounded
Bob
so
Dylan
great
sounded
in
good
that
in that to me.
I literally just watched that last night.
Yeah.
The making of We Are the World. It's so funny just how people really just came up to and was like, let's just do this, and they did it. And that's what it takes. Just a group of people executing, committing to it. And yeah, just
You guys remember the newer one where it was like Lil Wayne started the
yeah,
first line?
Sprint 80. Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it. I actually liked that one too, and it was kind of cool to see that era of pop because I mean we grew up on that, right? So
We grew up on that.
Rory, I think we were both probably in high school around that time, so it's like that was our
Yes.
era of
Yeah.
pop music, and it was kind of cool to see that. And Jonas Brothers, I think maybe Enrique
Prince finally,
It didn't? Was he?
Prince finally was like, okay, I'll be in this one.
Oh. I was gonna say he was in that. No. Yeah. Prince is amazing too, though. That's another podcast we should do. Prince was incredible.
right? Well, so I've taken each of you individually to Michael Jackson's childhood home. Can you tell me about how the atmosphere was for you guys and what that meant for you?
It's to me it was funny that it meant so much to me because it felt like going to see like recently I was in Rome and looking at the Michelangelo's Pieta. I was like, it really impacted me. I'm looking around. And one of the things that strikes me when I go to his home is the abandoned high school right around the corner. And I'm looking at that. And I'm thinking a few things. One is that Michael Jackson grew up in a tough neighborhood. So anyone that fell for that little, high pitched, soft, angelic voice, like don't forget Michael Jackson. Who was it? Eddie Murphy. That was like he might know some kung fu. We don't know. Michael Jackson's tougher than people give him credit for. The second thing, though, was just how down to earth his upbringing was. And in some ways, for all of Joe Jackson's faults, um, the Beach Boys had their manager, who was one of their dads, was a similar figure, who was somebody pick them up and pull them out of that environment. And unfortunately, it was done in such a tough way, and it had, some lasting effects psychologically. But thank God that we all got to see the gifts of Micah Jackson, and yeah, he definitely had a very, very tough upbringing. But that's what that brought to mind for me when I was there, was just how real it all was. I'm like, oh, this is where he's from. These are the roots. And I believe in that era, I think it was something that I heard from Joe Jackson, where there were gangs around, and he didn't let his sons get anywhere near that. The older boys, Jermaine and Jackie and stuff. So they never got anywhere near that kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
he was able to kind of keep like a firm hand on that, but maybe too firm. So yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Roy?
Dude, it was surreal for me. I did I cry? I don't know. We went there. It was dark. It was raining, but like not like a downpour of rain, but just this. It was so surreal, so beautiful. And just the way the light, just the way the rain, the light is reflecting on the rain. I think I had my ex-wife there at the time. Dude, it was one of those things like I can't believe I'm here right now. I think never in my whole upbringing did I plan to come and see the Jackson's resident. For sure, Neverland. But I never thought to like, oh yeah, let's go to Gary, Indiana. And when the same thing like Will said, like you see the high school right behind the house, and it's like trash. Everywhere, almost the whole, forgive me, but the rest of the community is kind of like, ooh. And then you have this very nice, they've kept this plot of land up, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shrine, not a land. Very good. Right, right, right. This is a temple, yep. Um, and then what? And then I had you film me, Brandon, doing 2300 Jackson Street. And it was it was just I was home.
Yeah.
Like it started here. It
Yep.
was just surreal. It was just surreal. I still kind of I gave myself goosebumps kind of talking about it.
Yeah.
You describing that reminds me of listening to Stranger in Moscow. The raindrops, that whole
Yes.
atmosphere. But that was one that I should have brought up. Just a deep cut, not really a deep cut, but just a beautiful song that was slept on. And you've probably seen some of his dance routines when he would do that live. And that song, he would just stop singing and he would just go into a dance break while I think like a saxophone or something's playing. And it's just like, dude, what an atmosphere. Incredible, incredible song. One of my favorites.
I feel like the latter, everything post Dangerous just wasn't quite appreciated like it should have been. But this is when he was putting his all into it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He always put his all into it, but there was a hurt that didn't exist before, a pain that didn't exist before.
Well,
And I felt like people know Michael for being happy-go-lucky. But I was like, what resonated for me, why I feel like I'm a fan of the later stuff, is the pain.
Yeah. Angry Mike.
Like, angry Mike. Angry.
Well, so speaking of people getting to know Michael and everything, a lot more people now are getting to see a little bit more of Michael's side and Michael's narrative through the Michael biopic. Um, have you both seen it? What did you think of it? How do you feel like his nephew Jafar did as Michael?
Jaafar did phenomenal. I was apprehensive. They've done a lot of biopics of Michael Jackson, and some of them were fantastic. Some of them were, yeah. I always appreciate it because I'm a diehard, but I was very much going in there like, okay, let's see what you have, Jafar. They're part of the family, so now you have. There's a certain bar you have to reach, but also we can. It's so easy to make Michael Jackson, and I hate to say it like that, but to make him look like a fool in a way.
Yeah.
It's very easy, and some of those biopics did that. Jafar, they told the story, the narrative of the story. I appreciate because I feel like that's what we should be focusing on, is just the music. Is not the whole controversy. And if they're gonna do a part two, let them do a part two with all that stuff. Of course they missed some stuff, but we have a 2-hour long movie. We have a lot of exposition to tell for those who don't know Michael, little to not at all. Um, it was great. They did a very good job.
Well, what do you think?
I think Jafar was fantastic. I'm really, really happy that it was somebody from in the family, playing him, and I'm really happy that that's kind of a break for him that he can shine. I mean, like about 10 years ago, I remember him releasing a music video, and I guess he was kind of just starting like a solo career. And everybody in the comments was just saying, he looks like Michael, he sounds like Michael. And a lot of comments even back then saying he should play him in a movie, stuff like that. So I'm really happy he got to do it. And I think he did fantastic. And so many of Michael Jackson's little quirks, especially in that era of his life, the way he'd kind of giggle after saying things, he had that down to a T. There's an old clip where he's like roasting Latoya about like how annoying her voice sounds, and he's like, "Your voice is very irritating." Even then, he's gentle about it. But I feel like Jafar just did a fantastic job at the way he captured his voice, his mannerisms, especially. So I was happy about all of that. As a movie, I mean, I've watched so much Michael Jackson stuff that it's like, it was nice, but I like really watching Michael Jackson, you know? In fact, but I guess I feel this way about a lot of music related movies. I felt that way about the Bob Dylan one. I felt that way about the recent Bruce Springsteen one. I was just like, it's cool, and I love these artists. But for me personally, like I just prefer to, yeah, I just prefer to watch them do their thing. I know their story, and I know that they're kind of trying to consolidate it for a larger audience. But it's just like, man, I love just watching these people do their thing. But all due respect to Jafar, because I think he did fantastic, and I hope that he kind of takes off from there and continues to do a lot more, because I think he can, whether he wants to do it musically or if he wants to do it as an actor. So yeah, I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for the family to get their chance to use their own voices to tell Michael's story, because usually it's told by another side that maybe has another perspective or agenda, or maybe doesn't present things, from that, very few people defend Michael Jackson in that sense. Like after that Martin Bashir documentary, I feel like the media only ever had negative things to say about him, and that bothered me. So, but yeah,
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I going into this, I didn't see it opening weekend. I saw it like 2 weeks after just because I was so busy with some other things. But I was the whole time I was like, all right, am I gonna be going to see something I haven't seen yet? Am I just gonna be going and watching somebody else do Moonwalker? I mean, like, what am I gonna go see? Sitting down and watching it, I've seen it twice now. I loved it. I mean, I felt like it was the story they needed to tell. There was a couple parts where I thought I was like, "Ooh, that felt rushed. Ooh, that felt rushed." But then it's like, okay, I see they're rushing it now to get to this part of the story or that part of the story. I was talking to Rory about this previously. I wish they would have done a little bit more in like his solo era, younger, like Ben on. Like it would have been cool to see a little bit more of that. But I get that we had to get to off the wall as well. I for Jermaine, I know this had to be emotional for him, like you're talking about the family, because he's probably getting double the emotions. He's seeing his son and the pride for his son playing his brother, yet he's also seeing his brother kind of come back to life, if you will. So it's like for Jermaine, I've got to imagine this is just like a ball of emotions for him. But I felt like they did get a lot right with it. It was some of the changes were interesting. What did you guys think of the changes? Like, I know that they brought in Bubbles 2 years before he was even born.
Yeah.
Like, what did you kind of think of the changes? I know, Rory, you mentioned the thing with the nose.
Yeah, yeah. Some things I wish they would have, instead of making it which I feel like Michael was a perfectionist in a way as far as aesthetics as well. I wish the very first nose surgery that he had, I wish they would have expanded on he hurt himself and had to get it. Whereas, this is the image of perfection that I'm trying to reach. Let me look like this. Like, oh, he definitely like broke his nose and had to get nose surgery. And then from there, it was like, okay, well, I think something like happened where it didn't look quite right, something, and then he did it again, like 80, and then so forth and so on. But yeah, I wish they would have told that so it wasn't such a, because for the audience perspective, looking at it, it's like he just wasn't happy with the way you looked off
yeah.
bat. and change.
Yeah. I think for me, it was Spike Lee that did the documentaries, right? Where he did I think he did like
Yes.
the bad one, he did the off the wall one. Those to me showed the side of Michael Jackson that I most wanted to see, where he was just who he was as a worker, who he was when he was in that like hot frenzy of creativity, where he's in the zone. He's coming home from the video shoot and he's working on the next choreography with his guys in front of the mirror for the next day. He's working on takes over and over again. I really wanted to see like I don't know. I guess you'd say like more of the creative process. Um,
Mhm.
like the drama stuff. Like it's been told before. I'm happy they got their chance to tell it in their way. Um, because it's not the same if somebody else talks about your family. I'm glad that they got to talk about their own family in that sense. So I'm happy about that. Um, but yeah, to me, I guess I would have loved to see more of that creative process because he was very divinely inspired. The guy was like just in touch with God, like the way that he was able to receive those ideas and the fact that he was able to execute on those ideas. That's the work ethic of it. And the thing that he would say about like, if we don't record this now, they're gonna give it to Prince. Like God's gonna give it.
Yeah. They're gonna
I'm
give it
like,
to Prince.
yeah, like, I love to see that, and I mean, that's why the guy couldn't sleep because he's just receiving these ideas. He knows they're gonna connect with the world. He knows that he can do them justice. Yeah, and it's like, I mean, a lot of people experience this. Chris Martin of Coldplay does the same thing where he can't sleep and he takes sleeping medication. So these people that have that sort of divine channel, it's a beautiful thing to see what that looks like when they're working in that sort of fevered pitch of creativity. Um, but yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with everything about the movie and the story that was told. It's just I know what I like to see about Michael Jackson, and it has to do with like this guy as one of the greatest artists that the world has ever seen. I've never cared much about the drama. I really don't like. And they talk about his marriages, Brooke Shields and Lisa Marie Presley, and his surgeries and all of that stuff. I'm like, I don't care about all that. That's human stuff, and we all deal with stuff like that. I'm not worried about it. I care about the art that this guy created and who he was as a human being. So,
Yeah, what I do like about the movies that they showed that it's expanded off my view of Michael was to piggyback on what you said, Will. It's these moments where he was like, if I'm not ready, they're gonna give it to Prince. There was a part in the movie where everybody else is like just doing stuff. And Michael's just sitting there, not doing anything at all. And he's like,
yeah,
I'm sitting here, I'm sitting here waiting for God to talk to me. Like I can't do anything. I just have to be ready. And maybe that's needed more so in our world now. Stillness, like so that you can be called when it is your time to be called. You can hear that message and you're not distracted by other things. And what I also liked about the movie that they expanded on, um, was the whole I like the drama that was a part of trying to get Billie Jean on MTV or just get his
Yeah.
videos on MTV in general. I love that.
Yeah.
Because it's not him being too much, but I feel like we have a general understanding of Michael didn't play games in a sense with business.
Yep.
For you to be able to, kind of call somebody up and maybe not have your brother's songs or video drop because of whatever reason, you have this power. And we understand like he has this said power. He does this that stuff. It's not just it's not just he held back Jermaine from this stuff. It'll be other little stories to where if Michael didn't approve, then it was a no-go. So the beginnings of becoming that person and there's a certain bravado that you have to where like no, it's gonna get done. Like what did he tell the guy? Um
Did he pull over?
okay.
Yeah,
What did he say?
on TV if he doesn't play Michael.
Yeah. That's what the guy told the dude from MTV. But just that whole like, yes, you have the power to be like, if you don't put my stuff up on there, or if you're not doing it the way I would like it to be, I'm just not gonna go on.
Yep.
Now you're gonna have millions of people just upset, not with me. They're gonna understand me. It's gonna be you.
Yep.
There's an old video where Michael is doing like it's almost what we'd call a self tape now, but I guess he's just working on rehearsing something, and a friend is filming him, and this is like maybe mid '80s, and he's like, how close are you in the shot? Is it like here?
Oh yeah.
And he's like, you all the way here. He's like, you back up, you dummy. I'm like, I love
Yeah, I know you dimwit. Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. Dimwits. And I'm like,
even the way he cusses the guy out is like words. It's so sweet. You schmuck.
yeah, you schmuck. That's all. That's Jewish community. Look, you schmuck. Oh,
I love it. I love it.
Let me ask you
As
guys-
humble as he was, he's great.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys a tough question. Do you think that Michael would have been as great as he is, or as great as he was, had his dad not treated him the way he treated him?
no. No.
No. Yeah.
Sometimes
It's
the most successful people I find, that I've talked to, stories, that you find the most successful people, and success relative to however they view it, have went through some type of trauma in their life, and they've overcame that in however they did it, positive or negative. So I honestly feel like he would not be remotely how he is if it wasn't for Joe.
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's behind the beauty that he created is you can feel sadness. And whenever I talk to my dad about him, my dad was born in '51, and he remembers everything about the Jacksons. He's from Michigan as well, and so he had told me that the thing that he always felt about Michael Jackson was a tragedy. It was like a Greek tragedy, like almost like what is it, Icarus and Daedalus flying too close to the sun. Just a beautiful person, but just a tragic person. And I think that tragedy, the root of it, really came from this young boy being forced to work all the time. And, probably the person he respects the most, his dad, just the trauma of that. And there's also, there's something that happens to a person's psychology when they're held as the example for their siblings. And especially if it's your older siblings and now you're held as the shining example, there's a resentment that can build. There's a lot of tension that can build. You can start to feel yourself more set apart in a good way and also in a bad way. So I feel like a lot of that psychologically damaged him, and the fact that his talent was responsible for pulling this whole family. Well, not just his talent. I mean, his whole family's talent, but primarily him as the front man of that group, pulling his whole family into a whole different stratosphere of life. There's a lot of there's a lot of stuff that does to a person mentally. So I think he would have simply just been a very talented singer and dancer, but he may not have had the pain and the engine that would have made him think, I have to take this as far as I can, because he needed, I think that he needed the audience's affirmation. He needed the love from the millions of people.
Yeah.
There was a hole inside of him. There was an emptiness, I think, that he was seeking to fill with the art he created and the people that he gave that art to and the love they gave him back. And I don't think there was ever enough for him, which is kind of sad because, I mean, Robin Williams was the same. There's a lot of famous people that have that hole inside. But yeah, I don't think he'd have been the same guy without his dad. So
No.
it's sad, but that is how it played out. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I hate to say it, but you see the drive in people and you kind of feel the drive in yourself. You feel the support, you feel all these things you've got from your parents. You also feel what you didn't get from your parents. And so it's like, where you've had to pull it from other places. So I definitely agree with you guys. I don't think he would have been what he would have been. It's funny. I leaned over to my cousin because my cousin and I were the ones that were really into Michael together as kids. And we went to see it with her. I said, I leaned over and in the biopic, I realized that, like Joe being as abusive as he was, but then you see him working with somebody like Barry Gordy. Barry Gordy is more of a coach. He's not this disciplinary, like whip, get into shape, whatever. And I really feel like all of these guys in his life, both negatively and positively, they were all what really created who he was. I mean, it's everybody that he was involved with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Quincy's the dad that he could rebel with by the time he got to bad.
Right. Now, speaking of that, where do you think that this biopic needs to go? I personally feel like they need to do watching this biopic, and it only went to the bad tour. I really feel like that was like his Rocky Morton 2, right? This is what got him to be the champion. I feel like for the they need to do a second one. Like I've been told it's going to be called Jackson. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I feel like they need to do a third. The second one needs to just be bad and dangerous. All like that's like his Rocky 3. That's where he was stayed a champion. That's where he stayed the big name that he was. And then your third one could be, history in the mix and invincible and winding down his life. I feel like they need to do it in 3. But what do you guys think?
I concur. I think we need to see like we've seen him reach his precipice, but it's not like his peak. I feel like bad is his peak, right? And dangerous ever so, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
So, and I agree. I feel like they should do just focus on a bad, like dangerous should be like in its own time. So much kind of went on during this time, and you can almost segue it into, because of course, if you're gonna talk about the controversies, then you're gonna talk about it. So then you start to kind of introduce these little things in that movie to fully kind of make it a thing in the very next one, the third movie, whereas it's like history, invincible, post. But it has to be an overcoming arc. There has to be I need a good hour of the movie. I only want to talk about, if it's going to be a 2 hour long thing for each movie, then we're maybe getting them at 45 minutes to these controversy stuff. And then we need to overcome, and we need to see like, towards the end of the movie, all of the effect of what his legacy has been. Let's talk about it, but let's not be like which one was the not it's not Leaving Neverland, but it's
Finding it, yeah, something like that.
Finding Neverland or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like he did a very good job with that story. Like that was a good movie, great story. It's talked more about the controversies, how he felt during that time. So just a little bit, touch on it a little bit, and then
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see in the wake of Thriller, the metamorphosis going into bad, and then just everything that happens after that. Because to me, I think his peak for me personally is bad and dangerous. I think that's just him like
Right.
white hot. It like the bad tour. If you want to see like a performer, to me in their prime. I mean, Victory, yeah, he was in that Thriller prime, but I think in bad it was like the appearance, the voice, the dancing,
Yeah,
music,
it was
the
refined.
complete, yeah, just command of the craft through and through. So
Yeah.
I would love to see more of that. And I loved who he was in Dangerous too. I would love to see the work that he would do around the world. I would love to see them showing, all of the charitable work that he would do, the fact that he was the most requested person by Make-A-Wish, all of the work he would do with that. There were so many charities that he would contribute to and children that he would donate to that it was completely kept anonymous, and that was because he wanted it to be. I would like them to show that side of him. And no, when he would, I would like to see the tour life a little bit. When he would visit these countries and he would somehow finagle his way into having a nice jog with their military. He did this in so many countries. I think it's right. He'd somehow be be just. And the thing that I love about Michael Jackson, as humble as he is, he still has an ego. And the fact that he'd be decked out in his full military gear, it's like Michael, relax. Like you're not in the military, but he'd be decked out in his full military gear, jogging with their military. And yeah, I'd like to see all of that, but yeah, I think he had a very isolated life after Thriller. I think he really kind of was super secluded at that time. So it'd be interesting to see how touring was maybe a release from that. He's around his dancers who he seemed to have good rapport with, and just what that life was like. So trust me, any Michael Jackson movie that comes out, I'll watch it.
Yeah. I agree with you, man. Like I was watching the other day, on YouTube, they have like a 4K upscale of like the Wembley performance from, when they ended the first biopic or Michael. They were even saying it's like, well, Michael's late to the performance because he's off giving a $50,000 check to, Princess Diana or like the country or whatever, donating.
The show has been delayed while Mr. Jackson meets with Prince Charles and Diana, Princess of Wales, to present them with a donation to the Prince's Trust.
I was like, wow, that's just who he was. But as far as you guys were talking about like the controversy and stuff, I really feel like what they could do with the controversy stuff in the movie is kind of show it from his perspective, like show him sitting there and they hand him a newspaper and you don't see what the headline is, but you can see that it upsets him and it kind of shows him internalizing it. And it's like, all right, how is this going to become a song? How is this going to be, like you can show his process without actually having to show the controversy itself, or at least like they don't want to, you know what I mean? And do it kind of like they did with this. For example, his haircut catching on fire. Well, they were able to spin that into how he visited the kids in the hospital and they donated his entire check to it. They can do it that way, I feel like.
Certain point of storytelling. So I get the allowances that should be made.
Yeah.
Also to see kind of the fracturing that happened in his family, with his brothers even. I think it was Jermaine that released like a diss track once. Do you guys remember that? Where he kind of put out a little song about Michael being like a king in his empire, and something about like how he's built his own kingdom.
Were made, you change your shade. Was your color wrong? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so you know that song to a T. I'm vaguely clutching the strands of memory. And also to see Janet's rise. So that's another person who we got to give her flowers. I am such a huge Janet Jackson fan. Maybe like, well, definitely top three in my female artists. But that sort of parallel ascendancy, because people forget how absolutely massive she was in the 90s. Rhythm Nation and all of the music she was coming out with. And yeah, I'd like to see a bit of how their paths maybe crossed at certain points. But also what was going on with his brothers at that time was, because I forget who it was, maybe one of his brothers that talked about even to get on the phone with him, it was like damn near impossible, like you couldn't just get him on the phone. You'd have to talk with someone to talk to him. And yeah, just how that affected him with his family life. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're getting to be about an hour, so I know you guys had your days you got to do, but I wanted to ask just as the last question: how do you feel like Michael Jackson's legacy has been left on you, and how would you want to in turn make that part of your legacy?
I feel like it's meant to me more than what I could possibly have ever thought it would be. And, taking from all of my lessons in life to again motivate, inspire, and delight. And then I feel like I do that with my work and any form of work that I do. It's that, motivate the next generation, um, motivate everyone around, inspire the next generation, and delight. Even if you're having a bad day, even if I don't feel like smiling, like sometimes that's what's needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, Rory, you brought up a few of his quotes earlier, where he had said, "Study the greats and become greater." And he also gave a quote that I think he had mentioned that it came from his dad, where it was, "Whatever you." No. This was something that he used to teach his children. That he mentioned. I think it was in that Martin Bashir documentary. But whatever you do in life, be the very best at it. And that's the thing, though, is like whatever you're doing in life, aiming to be the absolute best that you can be at that. Um, the world has different ways of measuring things like that, but I think that's a great approach to take to things. There's no reason that you should set your expectations of yourself any lower for any reason. You can always aim to be the absolute best that you can possibly be. So his sort of he reminds me of Kobe Bryant a lot in that respect, where he had this relentless hunger and pursuit of greatness. um, he wasn't going to settle for anything less than what he knew was his best. He was fully aware of his capabilities, and I know that he had another chapter of his life planned out where he wanted to become a director and he wanted to produce films, and I believe that was actually what he planned to do after his final tour. And I know that cinema was such a big deal to him, and I would have loved to see what he had done with that. So yeah, I've always been inspired by his pursuit of greatness, what he was willing to give of himself to reach that. And yeah, I think it's simple advice: study the greats and become greater. And whatever you do, try to be the very best on it. So that's what I would take away from him.
Yeah. I would say a couple things, for me, especially hearing about like how he brought the gangs together to make Boot It. He was somebody who would try to find the problem and not the tea. You know what I mean? He would always try to figure out, all right, how can we solve this? I feel like too much in today's world, we're like, ooh, give me the tea. Let's see what let's see what the problem is. Let's see how we can make it worse. We've got a lot of keyboard warriors these days that make things worse and better. They don't try to solve the problem. They just try to give their opinion to make themselves look better. And I always felt like it for me, like what I would see in him is he would always try to bring people together and bring community and make community, not to separate it, but to bring it together. And I felt like so many people try to tear that man down, and it was a real bummer to see. The other thing I really feel like with his legacy is just kind of what you guys are saying. Michael might have been a weird guy, but you know what? He wasn't normal. And if you're normal, then that means you don't have the potential to be the best. And that's my opinion. That's why he was the best. Yeah, he was weird. He wasn't normal. He was elevated, man. Like he didn't need to be weird. He didn't need to be normal. And that's where I feel like, his personality put everything that he put into his craft, and his craft was for the world. That's what I say. Well,
Absolutely. I agree.
yeah.
Tenfold.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys coming on, man. I've been wanting to do this with you two for a while, and I just feel like with the movie out, this is the perfect time to do it. And so, well, it's always good to see you, man. I wish we could see more of each other. I know you're doing your stuff in life, and I'm just happy to see where you're at. And same with Rory, man. Like you're so busy
We'll make
too.
our way down to you, dudes. Oh,
What's
sorry,
that?
Brand. I'm sorry.
No,
No,
you're
I'm
good.
I'm saying to Will, we're gonna make our way down to you two. He's hiding because he works all the time. Yeah.
No, I'm very, very happy to see you guys again. It's been at least 5 years, so it's a pleasure. I'm very happy that we're talking about something that we all love, someone that we all love. So, and yeah, man, Brandon, I recently saw some good news from you. So all the best to you, man. Keep up the great work. And this podcast, very, very cool. So, I'm gonna start listening, and yeah, wish you the best with this, brother.
All right, guys. Hey, man, thanks for checking out that interview, man. I had such a great time talking to those guys. I've had like really cool individual friendships with the two of them, way outside of Power Rangers. It's nothing we even talk about anymore. But, just being able to share his artistry and how he's influenced all three of us in growing up, I love that we got to finally have that conversation. I've been wanting to have it for a while, and it was just so good to get those guys on camera and we could just chat about it. Thank you guys for being here. Um, you know, uh, how did Michael impact you? Leave in the comments, man. Like, if I get it, if you're not a fan, I would appreciate if you weren't negative about it. But for those who really loved Michael Jackson, man, just like and still continue to, even in his legacy, I'm curious what your thoughts are. When did you first hear Michael sing? What was that first song that really caught your love for him? Um, Again, thanks guys for being here. Here's my socials, by the way. If you're listening to me on podcast, thank you so much. If you're watching me on YouTube, thank you so much. I encourage you to subscribe. Like, I haven't been on here too much. I want to start doing more solo episodes, but it's just a matter of having content to be able to talk about. I could get on here and talk about anything, but I really don't. I like to be, a fair weather like friend, like meaning I shouldn't say it that way. Like I want people to be able to have their own beliefs and views. Like, yeah, I might be a Christian guy, but I'm not pointing the finger at somebody or making them feel bad about their sexual orientation or anything like that. Like, that's not me. I want you to be the realest you can be, and I'm going to be a guy from, a real guy with you. But the biggest thing for me is I want us all to be friends. I want us all to have a community. That's what Michael wanted, man. That's why when he brought the gangs together to make Beat It, he wanted the shit to stop. He wanted the fighting to stop. He wanted to find that common ground in music. And I feel like we've lost a lot of that in society today. We're not looking for a solution. We're looking for more of the problem. We're looking for more of the tea. And it's like, why are we like this as a human society? Why do we cast people aside like Michael Jackson, who wanted nothing more than to bring a community together? And why do we just throw those people out? Why do we prefer chaos over peace? Why do we prefer anger over being nice to each other? Why do we prefer insulting each other as opposed to complimenting each other? Like why do we do that online these days? It's sad. I really feel like he would be disappointed in his people, or I shouldn't say his people, in the people, around the world. I think we could all stand to do better than that. I know I can. As much as I try to do that and live that and preach that, I know that there are times when I've even failed and been a jerk to people, you know, my own family, my own life. I could be better, and I need to be better. So anyway, guys, but again, thanks for checking me out. You know, leave me in the comments, you know, what else should I talk about? What else do you guys want to hear? Would love to hear from you. And again, thank you for popping by, and you know, whatever comes next. You know, I'm going to try something new. You know, in that interview, I said something, and I really think I want to start signing off with this quote. It's okay to be weird, because if you're not weird, that means you're normal. And if you're normal, that means you don't have the potential to be the best. And I just think about that, and I want to leave that with you. You guys, take care. Have a good one.
It's all going